moon dream, dream moon. In the radiant sky, where the sun goes shine, the moon dances gracefully her light, divide, guiding dream and aspiration like a celestial strings. Pegasus soar high, with wind that grace the air, symbol of courage and freedom beyond compare. The story of life in eternal time and space begin. An anthem sung loud and clear, breaking chains, dispelling doubts, and no room for fear. In the symphony of moon dream, dream moon, a poem is born, a melange of dream in each word. Moving, move, moved. A movie in the moonlight. There's no space, but time. Thank you.
So, what do astronauts, what kind of currency do they use to buy coffee? Starbucks. Sorry, I didn't mean to advertise for anyone else.
And looked straight into my eyes. And then, to my great surprise, he said, "Squawk! Squawk!" "Oh, Raven, stop your squawking. I expected you to be talking." I waited and listened, but all I heard was "squawk!" and not one word. Now, this all happened just last week, and I'm still waiting for the bird to speak. It's a standoff between Raven and Poet. Who will win? Why, neither can know it, but you all know what I'm waiting for. And, well, it will happen. It will happen. Oh, nevermore. Nevermore. Nevermore.
Maybe you haven't. All the jokes I've told today have to do with coffee. So what do you call somebody like me who tells a bunch of coffee jokes? A brouhaha. Well, we just had Father's Day, so it's called Dad. Dad was born a country boy. He learned to fix engines with joy. Fields he planted, harvested, and plowed. He played football for the high school crowd. From a photo in uniform, so brash, with a Clark Gable-like mustache, I remember my dad very fondly, young and smiling so nonchalantly. Naturally, I wanted to be like him. After all, he looked like a celebrity. His hair was so dark and trim. With him, there was always much levity. He endured my crying for those first haircuts. For me, he always shelled fresh roasted peanuts. With his pocket knife, he would cut me bites of a peach. Together we would splash in the surf at the beach. With him, I remember running many foot races. He taught me to tie my shoelaces. He would often play pitch after dinner. He always made me feel like a winner. He liked to tell jokes he heard at work, not able to say them without a little smirk. He always loved to tell a funny tale, laughing out loud before the end without fail. He first taught me to drive in empty parking lots, finally graduating to deserted road spots. I had no idea to slow down to turn on a fast highway. My first tire screeching turn made some of Dad's hair turned gray. Years later, I drove with Dad some more to a place he only knew from family lore. I took Dad to the Mississippi homestead of old, his smile on arrival more valuable than gold. My son's favorite photo of us all is of us all. I am so glad he got to know you, Papa. I hope I am nearly as good a dad as you, and that your grandson someday will be too. Dad, from my memory, you will never leave. For each other we know love we could believe. Mutual displays of affection that only grew. Dad, I am so glad I became a lot like you.
What's the meaning, Mr. Shakespeare? You must have read the Bible, Mr. Shakespeare, or someone whispered the words to you in your ear. For in the Old Testament scrolls, the bones of the patriarchs were laid untouched, perhaps a landmark for posterity. In your epitaph, you said to leave your bones unmoved. Why so, Mr. Shakespeare? When progress came in renovations, the hammering men didn't bother you. They left you alone. They respected your wish. Yet the question was, why so? Did you perchance follow the way of the great men of old, to be memorialized with your remains, laying still like them? Or perhaps this is one of the enigmas of your life, evaporating from the lines of your poetry. I do not know. But I say, to be at peace in the grave or not to be, that is the question.
One that I love, this one always trips with people. What did the fish say when it hit the brick wall? Damn. Next up. What did the Buddhist monk say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. And then finally, this is the sweetest one. I told this one to my daughter, and she cannot stop telling it to everyone she knows. And that's exactly how I want things to go. Why do cows wear bells around their neck? Simply because their horns don't work. Thank you all very much, and I hope you have a very wonderful evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, this one came from, so first some context. I'm kind of a strange person. I just like doing weird stuff. So I found myself looking on this website where you can talk to inmates in prison. And I found it really fascinating just reading the descriptions that they put, because when you just read the descriptions, they seem like really, really normal people. And then you go and look at the charges that they got, it's triple homicide and things like that. And so the discrepancy really, really threw me off. And I came up with this poem right here. It's called Testosterone. I could probably kill a man and give him all my years. Here the judge dropped sentences which probably could have saved him. Instead I gave him sticks and stones, testosterone was flowing. I wasn't known for showing the aggression which found him, but my wrath was around him until the moment his soul fled, right as his body bled out. His blood remains a stain on the good I set out to do, on the problems I set out to solve, this being one of them. Now I've succumbed to them, and I've turned us into numbers, toe tags and eternal slumbers. I'll sleep here in the meantime. It seems time will take me out, if testosterone doesn't get me first. I don't know which is worse. Either way, the hearse awaits. Its license plates read testosterone. For many tough men sleep 6 feet deep in the dirt. They let their hurt and trauma cut their hyphen short. Otherwise ethical men killed friends in the name of aggression, to protect their pride from questions such as, why would you let him say that? The day that someone asked me that, I'll probably kill a man. Watch the light leave his eyes with all his future plans. Watch the judge cast spells with sentences comprised of digits. Neither mail nor visits from the one who placed me in that prideful position. Just me and my testosterone denying the decision we deemed logical. All because our self-esteem wasn't optional.
Women shouldn't make coffee, because the Bible says he brews. It's called 6 Feet. A prodigious pandemic swiftly swept over a fragile world. It brought lingering, torturous deaths by the million. A novel plague had its sails suddenly fully unfurled. The core of humanity was measured by this unfamiliar villain.
This is called Nightly Destinations. We voyage to consciousness, tracing a familiar path, lost in places we know, striving to an unreachable end with an irrational urgency. I see words I can't read, people I know, not them. Bits of yesterday, last lifetime mingled into a fable that manipulates me to do regrettable things, still and again.
I wrote this poem a number of years ago, and in the generation I grew up in, women's lib hadn't happened yet when I was a kid and growing up, or at least I wasn't aware of it. And my family was particularly, my dad especially, was pretty couched in the old ways of doing things. So that's where this comes from, the role I was cast in when I was raised in my family. It's called Flight. There is a bit of soreness as the memory returns of how it feels to fly. A tentative stretch as the wings unfurl, the plumes stretch to the sky. And a voice cries out, "But woman can't fly. Her wings are clipped at birth." It's a woman's heritage, history, and task to remain weighted and bound to earth. An ear to the voice, and heaviness comes. Eyes go from sky to clod. That voice so familiar, the bonds well known. It must be the voice of God. Shuffle a step down the endless road, head hanging in feet of lead. The voice always heard, so it must be right. You can't fly, believe me, it said. Ah, but the breeze, the fresh, cool breeze, and with it a still small voice. The feathers stir and the voice goes on. What's that about a choice? Now it shouts, the still small voice, no longer still and small. A lifting, a stirring, a call to the skies. The weights begin to fall. Gone is the picture of a judgmental God with woman on earth in chains. Her heart is courage, her wings are thought. All concept of heaviness wanes. As her mind sees her wings, they again appear. By will, they stretch out wide. She loves to live, and her life is the flight. So she lifts off for the ride.
And we visited her in the hospital, and she fell in her garden and broke her toes off her ankle, and went to the hospital and never came back. So anyway, this was from her. I titled it "The Gates." A pearl necklace for my friend, most highly unusual to give as a gift at a funeral. Cards and flowers are appropriate. Food and drinks to satiate. Yet, a small still voice tells me in a quiet pose, a pearl is fine to give to your friend that grieves. For this pearl will be a reminder of her beloved mother, who loved her all these years through laughter and tears, and now has entered that peaceful rest where Jesus himself welcomed her into the pearly gates.
This one's called Return of the Fireflies. You see, when darkness comes, we can feel stuck and all out of luck. But there's a light switch within that whispers begin. Under the covers of a sunken bed, of a day that will end, there is a return, the firefly will burn. Look for the shine, the light to remind. Shadows fade and dissolve. You evolve. You find a light, you fly and fall. Sometimes we learn to yearn for the life of fireflies, and like the sun, we always rise.
Sea breeze. All during the pandemic, trapped behind a window pane, I dreamed again of breathing the pure sea air. I dreamed of Memorial Days past, walking from a parked car up to a pine tar boardwalk with the dew's scent still on the tall barrier grass. I saw myself blending into the crowd wearing an old straw hat, Ray-Bans, t-shirt, and flip-flops, my usual vacation attire, passing the pastel-painted beach houses. Everything and everyone still waking in mid-morning, the start of the season. I pictured myself crossing the boardwalk and leaning against the rail, watching the growing crowd, relishing in the fresh, salty air. I'd close my eyes and simply live in the moment, welcoming the cries of the gulls and the breaking waves. I'd absorb all the beach and boardwalk aromas, the tar and creosote, washed up seaweed, suntan lotion, sizzling burgers, hot dogs, fresh cut French fries, and caramel popcorn. Without worrying about breathing someone's bad air, I'd jump into a busy line to order a vanilla ice cream cone from a favorite boardwalk stand, waited on by a sweet college girl in a green smock and a white cap, home for the summer. I'd sit down and enjoy my ice cream on a wooden bench, read a tacky vacation newspaper next to a young couple sitting way too close. No masks, no more pandemic woes. Everyone reveling in the summer softness, the salty fragrance of the sea breeze.
A couple years when we were figuring out what's wrong. Things aren't working the way they should. I don't know how familiar you are with the disease, but to me it's like they're being erased. The words from a chalkboard are being erased, and you can tell what was there originally, but it's just not quite the same. So this is called I Miss You Right Here Beside Me. I miss you right here beside me, where I can reach over and hold your hand and you squeeze back. And we know who we are, what we have, and you're right here beside me, and I miss you. I miss you. Right here beside me, and the laughs we shared, and the jokes you told, and the twinkle in your eye that set the room to giggle, and you're right here beside me, and I miss you.
This one is In and Out of Time. The sun has come, the mist has gone. We see in the distance our long way home. I was always yours to have. You were always mine. We have loved each other in and out of time. When the first stone looked up at the blazing sun, and the first tree struggled up from the forest floor, I had always loved you more. You freed your braids, gave your hair to the breeze. It hummed like a hive of honeybees. I reached in the mass for the sweet honeycomb there. God, how I love your hair. You saw me bludgeoned by a circumstance, lost, injured, hurt by chance. I screamed to the heavens, loudly screamed, trying to change our nightmares into dreams. The sun has come, the mist has gone. We see in the distance our long way home. I was always yours to have, you were always mine. We have loved each other in and out, in and out, in and out of time.
Drew, I'm very impressed with what you have done, bringing poetry to young people. Way cool. I wrote this yesterday. Way station. My heart aches and breaks in the crack between two worlds, not a hole of either, but I walk in balance on a suspended tightrope, stretched taut over roaring river below these canyon walls. A thin thread knowing where I walk. My path, like a lightning bolt, travels true to its final clash. Boom, 1 million volts, 30,000 amps of light, splitting the sky like an axe on kindling. Some things may not be resolved, broken heart mended, lessons learned, and those waiting to be carried into the next lifetime. Eagles carry mountains on their backs, layered with sky and blanket of clouds for warmth and chilly nights among the stars. We think of Earth as our home. This way station in space is but a departure point, an intersection between whenever and forever in a universe with billions of galaxies measuring millions of light years apart, still unfolding and enfolding in front of our eyes. Inspiration and understanding come in a flash of realization, radiates a truth that opens itself like a flower but unfurls, exposes itself to sun's rays, a breathtaking view of beauty.
I just want to go ahead and just say that I wrote this before the whole submarine thing happened. So the reference to the Titanic is about the ship, not the submarine. So I throw it out there. But this one is called Carpe Diem, and it's about my experiences with Hurricane Katrina. Seize the day before the seas can prey upon your downfall, and town halls are washed away to sleep with the Titanic. Believe me when I tell you that my panic is justified. I trusted my future was secure, but sure enough, the shore was shortened. My life's importance was challenged by the ocean. Mama set into motion everything that you see today. I seized the day because I know that tomorrow was never promised, so I stay honest to the present. The Crescent City was washed away by a full moon monsoon. It died with the tides, and road trip ride turned into an overnight move, with memories as souvenirs. The entropy of youthful years which were stolen by the sea. Floods left me free from all of the possessions which left impressions on me. Like the questions I petitioned, who made the decision to take the life I knew? I found my answer in the blue that hugs the horizon, like the lover long lost. The same blue which tossed towers in a matter of hours with the powers we possess. Did we suppress our potency by setting the present moment free when we should carpe diem? A lesson that God taught me where I got a chance to see him.
Imagine yourself on a mountain lake rowing from shore in a tiny boat. It's dawn and the autumn still, and the world is still mostly sleeping. Multicolored leaves reflect in the mirror of the water's edge. And there's barely a puff of breeze as you reach the center. You ship your oars barely drifting, breathing, just breathing, in the calm of the morning. Looking over the gunnels, you see your face in the checkered pattern of a blanket shirt reflected against the rosy sky. In a moment of epiphany, you wonder, isn't life as mysterious and deep as the lake itself? Isn't life as small and delicate as a melon seed just floating past? Or a tuft of willow fluff floating like a bubble? In the grand scheme, isn't your life, my life, just like a gossamer thread drifting free from a spider's web? A spindly thing that captures the dew just once before disappearing into infinity.
Okay, so this one is about my girlfriend who will be visiting me for the first time in America, July 3rd, so I'm really excited about that. There's a picture of her, a Polaroid. And this poem is called Mona Lisa. The day that you die, I hope to hang you up in France, so that passers-by may get the chance to let their eyes meet yours. When they take their tours of the most historic portraits, your importance will emanate from heaven's gate to the floors, where florists will give flowers to the tourism student, whose prudence and patience brought inspiration to the poet who wrote this very verse, just to nurse her healing heart. She's the artist and the art, the first of her kind, with the mind which could mend every moment in time from a fleeting meeting with her pupils of honey. No money could be presented to meet the price of her presence, but a slice of her severance may be found in that museum the day that you die. I hope that you see them, celebrating your significance and elevating the magnificence of a modern work of mastery. Even non-believers know there has to be something beyond us for you to have ever existed. Indeed, something insisted that you be born in this latitude. It crafted you with gratitude for the gift it was giving itself. It's been living in wealth from the second that brush kissed the vacant canvas with its passionate paint, and gave us the Magnus of saints who will one day share an exhibit with that exquisite magnum opus. Hopefully, next to the poet who wrote this.
Dean suggested I read my poem from Smiles Behind the Lines. It's called Grown. It's time. I know it is. In fact, it's long past time. Procrastination won't make it any easier. I wait until the last possible moment of the day, walk to my car like a condemned woman, open the door and sit down. I crank the ignition and uncharacteristically drive under the speed limit to my destination. The doors open and I step in, breathing the over-air-conditioned air. Spotting my destination, I reluctantly point in that direction. After an hour of trial and error, grunting, twisting, and groaning under the harsh fluorescent lights, I choose the least offensive of the bunch and check out with my new swimsuit.
Sprinted to the sea, flung off shoes and socks, ran towards imagined heaving waves, and jumped each tiny trickle that I found there with just the same excitement. You stayed back, took your socks off more timidly, giggled at your stupid mother, eventually took my hand. We jumped together and we jumped together and we jumped together. 3 hours later, collapsing on our backs, we made angels in the sand. The seaside always made me want to scream. Now with you, I can.
Tomatoes. Smell after the rain, the glove box of a car, gaps of memories, barely remembering the giant oak tree of colors, or the poster of that band that's been up for centuries. Flash forward a little to the yard with the splashes, the house that creaks a little in the night, the heat shutting off in your silly mug collection that I add to every time I see you bright. We've been native to this exact town for years. We can check out the new park down the street, but I've yet to explore, too busy to see new places, yet it's artificially made of concrete. You sleep on my couch as a song plays from your phone, some slow song you showed me. Oh, but when you look so excited to share bits of yourself, I find myself at night listening to those melodies. I wish I knew more languages, for when you speak, I want to translate your words and preserve them forever, just like the Gothic novels you read to me or Romantic era poetry.
I have a dark side that I hope you'll never meet. Inspired by the violence while I preach the word of peace that I seek so desperately, but my expertise is deficient. I dream about conditions in which my violent visions may Freudian slip into fruition and land me in the prison cell I've been building for myself. My mental health is compromised. I've ostracized my honest side. My problems lie in that rejection. Deflection doesn't disguise darkness. You can't outsmart this devil. Lucy lives on penthouse level. She sent out several soldiers to brawl on her behalf, as she laughs at poems like the one that you're reading. My pain and my bleeding are nothing but a fleeting game. I have a dark side, and I bet you're the same. You suppress it with shame, and you blame your surroundings. It's rather astounding how similar we are. We sit behind barred doors with no key, but we're free behind car doors, or anonymous comments on YouTube, or while gossiping about new news, or when someone scuffs our new shoes, we all have our triggers, and we'll pull them in a heartbeat. Where the dark meets with chance, we save that dance for demons. The ransom is the reason why our rhythm is so rigid. The wickedness is so frigid that the frost bites trigger fingers until the clip is depleted. And Freudian slips have conceded that there's no way of tracing the shell casings back to their roots. I have a dark side, and it's ready to shoot. It's ready to loot your life for Lucy, a contradiction which continues to confuse me and my conscience. So I'll continue to create content and fight my way to a solution. I'll write my way to my confusion source, with metaphors as my mental Morse.
Because, women shouldn't make coffee, because the Bible says he brews. Do you know a coffee barista's favorite gym exercise? The French press.
Your circular walk. Some take it seriously, some giggle and talk. When the music stops, all scramble for a place. But one is left standing, disappointment on their face. Some feel true rejection. Some hardly seem to care. Each knows, others will follow the same circumstance to share. But the one who always feels the best is the one who gets one chair more than the rest. Musical chairs, what fantastic enjoyment! Unless the place that you play it is your place of employment.
再度拜访 Guava 古巴的餐点，还是蛮不错的。今天是炸树薯，还加上黑豆，蛮好吃的，就一盆小小的，刚刚好的分量哦，可以来 Makini 尝尝看。